Okay, so the alternative lifestyle system. And before I start, I'm not the best at presenting all of this, but I'm hoping that maybe people can see where I'm coming from and get together with professional people and scientists to start a rapidly advancing worldwide movement, using this as an example or basis of which to grow. I do not like the prospects of making America great. I think that the entire world should be great and working together. Okay, so this alternative lifestyle system has three major ethics: energy, physiology and intelligence. So where do I get that from? Well, if you look over here, it is the major ingredients for all life on Earth. And energy comes from the photosynthesizing organisms through converting light energy from the sun into chemical energy. And the life forms to do so are mainly cyanobacterium or green plants and algae. They are known as the producing organisms or photoautotrophs. Almost all other life forms get their energy from eating the producing organisms, whether as herbivores, carnivores or omnivores, us inclusive. Chemosynthesis is another form of obtaining energy through volcanism when no sunlight exists, like at the bottom of deep, dark oceans. So energy from the sun equals photosynthesis for almost all terrestrial and surface water life, which leads to our physiology, which is the evolution and diversification of species, which leads to intelligence for brain stimulation, problem solving and memory. And so all life has to obtain food, and food that in most species goes to the gut microbes to start processing. Okay, so in our system today, the energy that we take into our bodies is deficient, refined, contaminated and synthetic, which leads to our physiology, which is rapidly degenerating, which leads to our intelligence. Now, our cultural evolution, which is basically everything that we make, has been extremely destructive to the order and balance of life, which adds up to this. Now, in the new system, energy for us is nutrition and should start with uncontaminated, clean, fresh air, water and food. I also incorporate sleep, rest and love under the banner of nutritional well-being as major as vital ingredients, major vital ingredients of life, which leads to our physiology, which we endeavour to re-establish, which leads to intelligence, which is advanced through natural historical science and only totally sustainable innovation and technology. And all this adds up to advanced institutional egalitarian ecosystems for human habitation, taking us back to order and balance. Okay, so here we only need 6 major buildings associated with those vital needs of life. 4 for nutritional well-being, so 1, 2, 3 and 4. 1 for physiological well-being and 1 for intellectual well-being. These buildings are evenly distributed over a given area of land where 2 trains or sky rails will run on natural energy means, and will transport people from these 2 to the central system, up and back, or you can use these things called lakes. There is also a circular road that connects the 4 agricultural areas to the central system. This gives access for a vehicle train to transport people and produce, as well as access to all areas of the system for exercise, walk trails, firefighting equipment and to the outer zones. There would also be another access road leading out of the village to other establishments, or to the coast, or even to a small manufacturing building. Each system itself is set out on possibly less than 1,000 acres and could be home for up to around 10,000 people. Now, the major difference between this and our present system is our present system has an absolute massive infrastructure that is simply not needed, with massive wastes of energy, time and materialistic mass, and does virtually nothing for people's vital needs. So in this new system, there are no cars or filling stations, roundabouts, traffic lights, car parks, max flyovers, or millions of miles of interconnecting road layouts. There are no hotels or motels, no massive industrious areas, no fast food outlets, shops or shopping centres. There is no individual housing, mass cities or urban sprawls, no blocks of flats, governmental buildings or waste disposal sites, plus much industrious manufacture is cut back to absolute bare essentials, along with air, shipping, road transport and freight. And this is because this system reduces today's products and infrastructures by a whopping 60 to 100%. No cars means 100% reduction, and with everything that goes with the motor car, fuels, oils, tyres, batteries, materials, maintenance, we do not have to obliterate the earth to find minerals and materials for materialistic mass. The new system is not for the motor car. It is not for mass industry or manufacture or commercialism or consumerism. It is not for money. It has been specifically designed for humanity. This new system also reduces land area use by around 40 times over your present system, and reduces chemical saturation and waste by around another whopping 80 to 100%. Now, for the once upon a time worldwide Aboriginal cultures, meaning first, there was none of any of all that mass of crap, and they were by far happier, stronger, fitter, healthier. What they had was the vital needs of life, with an intercorrelationship of nature. So this new system massively reduces our human footprint, totally eradicating all of the problems and scourge of our present society, that all nations have really become forced to become a part of. Okay, so you've probably been looking at this bit of martial arts masters. Masters will have ultimate respect. They will take the place of policing in the new system. You do not argue with these guys, and especially not this one. Masters will patrol all areas of the system, adding to a very safe, secure and pleasant environment. Here, there is no rape, domestic violence or violence of any kind. There is no boredom or bludgeoning, no crime, bullying, scamming or being ripped off. There is no recreational drugs or alcohol, no deprivation or poverty. All personnel will be taught and guided along the right path of humanity, following the same mutual interests, ethics and principles of the system. All personnel would be taught the basics of life and of martial arts training, endurance training and fitness. You will be able to self-discipline, find confidence and relate to others, and have respect for others. Have relaxation and learn to utilise therapeutic health skills, also with respect for yourself. All personnel must abide by the martial arts code of conduct, which is to care for and respect oneself, to care for and respect the people around you, your surroundings, the natural world and environment. And there is also common sense if you still have it. Martial arts masters will be accredited and will take exams for learning the three major ethics of the system before gaining black belt status and advancing down grades. Masters will pledge to care for and protect all personnel and for the smooth running of the system. This system is internally socially controlled by the accredited Masters Council. They maintain the order and balance of each system. They know you, they train you, they look out for you, and they already know who is responsible should anything happen. Okay, now to explain the three ethics of the system, starting with number 1, nutritional well-being. So, air. At present, you are possibly breathing in over 180,000 toxic particulates with each and every breath. Air is the most vital nutrient, and if you do not understand that, just try holding your breath. Water. There would be advanced water purification units of pure H2O for drinking all over the system. Food. The system will only produce as organically and permaculturally as possible chemical-free produce. Genetic modification, herbicide and pesticide chemicals are not needed where mixed natural farming techniques and animal husbandry is employed. The world is at present that polluted that cleaning up the air, water and land of man-made contamination may take hundreds or even thousands of years in some areas. There is also to be no refining, chemical additives, hormones, preservatives, enhancers, emulsifiers or any harmful foods or products within this system. Sleep. At present, half the world's population cannot sleep properly of a night time. Sleep deprivation or apnea is rife in our present society. Inefficient sleep has catastrophic effects upon the brain and body. You sleep for a reason. In the new system, you will become relaxed and free of all disorders and will progress to a full sleep pattern. Rest. To have time to talk, have a siesta in the afternoon, or meditate, or spend time with loved ones. And love. There is not much love in the world. There is almost no such thing as an extended family anymore. And around 75% of all marriages find it almost impossible to live together without some kind of chronic abuse. In the new system, your heart will expand. When I, many years ago, was on a natural high of good food, much exercise and learning, I felt incredibly fit and active, and I wanted everybody to feel like I felt. It all started with the Charlie Atlas course. There was never any thoughts of self-harm or to do harm to others, only to help. And it is also where this alternative lifestyle system stems from. Here, love is in the air. Okay, so these space-age domes of nutritional well-being. From a distance, you would have thought that 4 alien spaceships have landed. We venture inside to a central atrium of palm trees, waterfalls, internal balconies, cascading plants and vines, even a tropical reef system preserving corals and marine life. I can't draw very well. Glass lifts curve to the top of the building and a huge central support column beams out natural daylight or artificial nightlight, illuminating the interior of the building. This column at the top also supports hot and cold water storage. Header water flows down through the outer walls and collects waste which goes to outside natural treatment systems and methane digestion, which is used for cooking or heating. All waste is then composted with waste from agriculture and put back to agriculture. Family accommodational apartments encircle the inner circumference with small external balconies. By the main entrance is the administrations and communications space for sorting out work rosters, of which you would work around 4 hours a day, plus also for information of sporting events, shows, concerts, outback tours, competitions, scientific lectures, seminars, etc. Towards the back of the building are the whole food kitchens and restaurant areas, and to one side of the restaurant seating area is a stage for performing arts, musicians and light entertainment during the day, and or maybe cabaret and dance, comedy or a show of some kind in the evening. The kitchens are connected to conservatories for the growing of all sprouted seeds and grains, and for salad vegetables and maybe for tropical fruits and aquacultural foods like water chestnuts, cress, fish and crustaceans. Conservatories are also used for propagation, and through the conservatories are the extensive organic and permacultural gardens of herbs, spices and extensive vegetable beds with mixed orchards of all kinds of edible foods, fruit and nut trees. There are also outside aquacultures of food variety, plus reed beds, bamboo and possibly pandanus for the making of baskets and crates used to transport, gather and harvest produce. There are animal forage systems and timber plantations. Animals are reared naturally. Chickens scratch around the barnyard, pigs root up the ground, pitchforks gather mulch, hay and fodder. Native bush foods and medicinal plants will also be interplanted within the system. Around each village establishment will also be the extensive buffer and outer zones, and I will talk more about these later under the ethics of intellectual well-being. But the outer zone will also be interplanted natural bush foods and will once again be extensive habitats for all native flora and fauna. Bush rangers or Aboriginal elders may be able to take small bands of people into the more extensive areas to live and learn what life would have been like as hunter-gatherer people. Tapping into the habitats and food resources, you may have to find water, food and shelter, sleep under the stars and eat from a ground oven. All contemporary foraging people should easily be able to adapt and put their individual spin on the alternative lifestyle structure, as well as other people like designers and architects may come up with other ideas, like sky rails that enter buildings on the upper floors, or restaurant dining areas looking out over the most beautiful system you could ever dream of. Around 70% of all foods consumed should be of plant origin. Most hunter-gatherer diets consisted of around 3/4% plant-based foods. With no chemical runoff into estuaries, rivers and seas, fish and all marine organisms will once again hopefully flourish with preservation and care. Marine produce may again, over time, become chemical-free to the millions of tons of highly toxic wastes that have been dumped and leached into the world's oceans and seas. Okay, so that's a very quick explanation of nutrition, but why are these split into 4? Well, this is a polyculture, not a monoculture, so it's because of insect pests and their predators. It's for the movement of stock animals to fresh pastures, which also keeps fire breaks clear. It's because different growers have different ideas, because of soil types and microclimates, and because of all sorts of competitions that can be set up between the different groups of people making fun. Okay, physiological well-being ethic number 2. Now, your body is rapidly degenerating and suffering by the way we live today in our computerized, synthetic, health-destroying, make-believe society. Our present system is about as far away from the order and balance of life that foraging people once lived, and we have a massive amount to learn and acknowledge from the past. The medical profession today is just starting to realise that drugs, surgical operations and the technological way of orthodox methods is also not what it is all cracked up to be, and is responsible in itself for so much suffering and death. So how do we get back to health? Well, prevention is the key, not miracle cures. Nutrition is number 1, physiology is next, and we utilise our intelligence. So physiology in the new system, reproduction for us should only be from the healthiest, fittest individuals as it is in nature, so as not to hand on genetic faults to our future generations. We must only build on health, and individuals of excellent health under the guidance of specialists may have hundreds of individuals from which to choose a generic healthy partner of the opposite sex. We must also endeavour to put the right prokaryotic life forms back into our bodies, hundreds of thousands of different species, which means extensive studies of who we are and where we have come from. Microbes used to teem in their trillions inside of all of us and are supposed to be there. Not having a healthy microbiome within is the main cause of suffering for all of us today. We must get rid of as much man-made chemicals as is possible, inclusive of drugs. And we must strengthen the body by physiological exercise, team sports, breathing only fresh air, and having much recreation. So here is the humongous sporting and recreational complex, with every health promoting sport and recreational activity imaginable. So swimming pools, fun pools with massage parlours, dance, gymnastics, aerobics, all track and field events, martial arts, all ball games, obstacle courses, confidence courses, even for the extremely fit ninja warrior courses, indoor and outdoor exercise equipment plus adventure sports like hang gliding, rock climbing, scuba diving, kayaking, BMX and mountain bike. There would be many unit halls for practice and learning, and main halls for competitions with spectator seating. On top of the sporting complex is a helipad, and inside is a general hospital with all kinds of therapies. The hospital will also take care of all dental needs and hygiene. With no money in the system, there is no corruption. All natural therapies will be given the ultimate chance to prove their worth, as prevention is paramount to miracle cures. There may also be an amphitheatre for musical concerts, sporting events, drama and all entertainment. So there's not much fun to be had here, improving ultimate health. So energy in from advanced nutrition and expanding energy through exercise, building strength and resistance to the body, plus expelling toxins. Okay, intellectual well-being, ethic number 3. Now, there is nothing wrong with going forwards with technologies, but only if it is in keeping with the order and balance of life. So, in the new system, scientific innovation and technology is governed by order and balance. So natural life science comes first, which means we, all species and all the Earth's natural systems come first. Innovation and technology can go forward, but can do no harm to you or any of the natural world. So here is the beautiful, complex building of intellectual well-being, with a humongous tropical rainforest atrium or temperate forest atrium running right through the centre, separating the more infrastructural side from the quiet side of academic studies. That's from playgroup and kindergarten to advanced scientific laboratories of life, to astrophysics and inclusive of scientific innovation and technology. There would be libraries and museums for paleontological and anthropological displays and cultural artefacts, and other museums of science, and for showcasing industry, transport, consumerism, and the many mistakes past. This system you are born into, loved and cared for just like that of foraging societies. There are no bills, money or anything to worry about. Plus every minute of every day is easily fulfilled with little work and all of your pastime with being active and learning. All children are looked after on an integral social basis and are schooled under strict care and supervision from breakfast to bedtime. Children at times of all ages would co-relate together with adults, sharing the pleasures and security of this complex interaction. Children having continued appreciation and affection from teachers, aides, parents, family members, plus their peers and masters, may have many people from whom to relate comfort, guidance, security and a binding sense of belonging to the caring system. Parents at any time will be able to join in with their children's educational well-being. The building would possibly be some 3 to 4 stories high. Bridges connect the two flanks which cascade with flowering plants and vines. A waterfall at one end of the atrium flows into rock pools and a stream meanders through the entire length of the building, with aquatic plants, lilies, fish, frogs and other aquatic life. There may also be a life-size T-Rex or a pterosaur that leaps off the waterfall and glides around the enclosure. Botanical gardens also surrounds this side of the building, with lush walkways and seating areas. A treetop walkway also enters the atrium, looking down upon the waterfall and over the top of the forest. The other flank of the building adjoins the train station or sky rails. It incorporates trade skills of skilled workshops of carpentry, metalwork, plumbing, electronics, engineering, even mechanics, as the system does have just a few commercial type vehicles. These vehicles would be used for agriculture, freight, scientific exploration, tours, or maybe for trips to the coast, for water sports, fishing or marine studies, coastal aquacultures, etc. The helipad on top of the sporting hospital complex is not just for accident or emergency needs, but also for land or air-sea rescue. Aircraft is the most efficient form of transportation, especially when we have developed a clean means of propulsion. Possible flight path and spacecraft installations should be well worked out within the initial stages of planning village communities. This same side of the building would also be used for arts and crafts, clothing, textiles, dressmaking, warehouse storage, refrigeration of surplus foods, and for packing and sorting of produce or products as each village must produce something of value to other villages. Some villages may produce certain parts or materials to be assembled by other establishments, and a small industry or manufacturing factory could well be shared by different communities' workforce, as it is impossible to do everything in one place. Communities will be in constant communications with each other, sharing product needs and perishables. Tools and machinery should be all of the same make, with interchangeable parts, and made to last years of constant use. Any tool or machine that is in need of repair would be fixed by the trade-skilled workshops. With much available people power within the system, there is far less need for tools, machines, gadgets and gizmos. Most people will say that organic agriculture is very labour intensive, and yes, it is. But in this system, 10,000 people can pull 10,000 weeds in 2 seconds. Same goes with picking up rocks or eradicating introduced species. The system's edible gardens, botanical gardens, all buildings and everywhere within each establishment would easily be kept in pristine condition, of which the masters will ensure. All maintenance or additions to communities will be the responsibility of each village community. Enhancing skills wherever possible. A kind of hire room would make available certain devices or equipment, whereby you or your tour instructor would sign out certain equipment. Within this system, the only thing that is truly owned is yourself, and apart from a few individual possessions and clothing, everything is shared. In this way, everybody has access to all the amenities and activities that you could ever dream of. A central governing body from one centralised community would be responsible for monitoring all communities within each area shire, ensuring all pull together in helping each other with needed goods, perishables and products. Each village will be as self-sustainable as is possible, making each village far less dependent on mass freight and transport. Big machinery like excavators, loaders, cranes, etc. could be in constant use, building new village communities, going from one establishment to another. The main governing body would also be in constant contact with all other countries, helping others to establish advanced systems of living, giving support of maybe materials or technologies, and in exchange of products, produce, or just for friendship. Social stratification or authority is given based on one's ability, knowledge and ease of cooperation and liaison with other members. Supervisors, teachers, coaches, coordinators, trades personnel and especially people of specific occupations will have top priorities in their particular fields of expertise. All personnel play an integral part of the system, spreading the load of especially work and making life a happy, pleasurable experience. The system is a lifestyle people can respect. You are given challenges to life and a meaning to exist. There is much guidance and factual knowledge along the right path of humanity, avoiding global confrontation in bringing about stability and equal opportunities to all people throughout the world, regardless of so-called race. Children and adults are no longer brought up in hostile environments and hatred over bygone beliefs and confrontation. Over time, differences will be totally lost through the education, ethics and caring of the system. If there is to be a third world war, it could definitely be the last war. What if instead of conspiracy, speculation, provocation, espionage and war, we were to utilise our brains for once and acknowledge all cultures and bring all countries together, instead of building up massive arms proliferation and friction, of which can only bring ultimate disaster. With this new system, there should be a massive arms reduction and total nuclear eradication, and a co-alliance with all countries to only protect the Earth and all of its people. Combined countries of military might should pledge to protect the Earth from possible asteroid impact, and we should never rule out possible alien takeover. Only when the body and the individual minds of people are continually active, chemical and stress-free, and fed by only wholesome foods and clean fresh water and air, will people be able to become relaxed, tolerant, placid and strong. We may all hopefully return to the state of well-being that was ultimately observed in foraging societies. All people and all cultures should easily be able to adjust to the new system. Okay, so now for those outer zones that encircle each system. So if we look at this illustration and imagine these are traditional people's villages amongst pristine forested or bushland environments. So this is this. And I'm just showing 3 villages. Now around each village is a buffer zone for keeping domesticated animals inside of their grazing and foraging fenced enclosures and keeping out native wildlife. The buffer zone is also an immense fire management system. Within the outer zone will be boundary lines for each system. So this is the outer zone and the boundary lines. There are many extensive walkways for cultural foraging of bush foods and natural lifestyle habitats. Campsites may be nearby freshwater lakes or springs. There may be the luxury of composting toilets and bush-style dwellings with a ground oven, grindstones and facilities for preparing bush foods and making stone tools, baskets, dilly bags, coolamans and other artefacts used for hunting and gathering expeditions. These sites may also be used for scientific monitoring, studies, expeditions, fieldwork, etc. Close to each village would possibly be timber plantations and facilities for cross-country running, mountain bike and nature walkways with hides for wildlife observation. Villages would quite possibly be in clusters of 10 to 12 establishments, of which would share a transportation and storage hub. And we desperately need an architect. There would also be a single road access to each village. One village close by the hub would administer the distribution of goods and look after the storage system. Here there would also be machinery for road maintenance, auxiliary equipment, plus there may also be a pump house for distribution of clean fresh water supplies that may come from coastal region desalination. So we take water from the sea, helping to lower sea levels and distribute to main central village clusters. Each village would be responsible for their individual zone area in cleaning up from our present system and in taking care of any salinity or land degradation, old waste disposal sites and chemical pollution. There would be eradication programs of all introduced species, mass reforestation, restoration of all bushlands and diverse ecosystems and natural habitats. There would be scientific biological research and monitoring of all species of native flora and fauna. Captive breeding for all endangered and critically endangered species to be re-released to re-established environments. There would also be preservation of all areas of specific scientific interests, like fossil beds, archaeological remains, cultural sites, etc. The natural zone may be of wide corridors in places with other massively re-established areas for all native species to roam, forage, graze and hunt as they once did, and again in mass numbers, with communities of people being separated from each other and people more staying in one place with everything they could possibly need. Any outbreaks of severe infectious diseases would not be a problem. Lockdown becomes very easy, containing the pathogen, and treatment is only of the infected individuals. Within this new system, yes, there may be exchange people travelling to other countries, but these people would have been screened and fully checked up and monitored as to where they are going and staying. Plus their numbers would be very minimal in comparison to today. Now undoubtedly one of the biggest, most concerning issues to all of us is that of global warming. And this alternative system is the absolute most we could possibly do to revert climate change. Natural science in the new system is the guidance for the new system. Nobody knows how to treat the earth and all of its life and everything that goes with it more than the earth itself. So by studying the earth, our solar system and all life, going back over billions of years, is the only way to live in coherence with the mother of all of us. Scientists are revealing the Earth's hidden secrets by not only reading the Earth's formulation and ultimate evolution of life, but by discovering the molecular molecules of life itself. We must now endeavour to reduce our population over as short a time as possible to somewhere around half of what it is today. Quality of life is far better than quantity of life. Village communities' main buildings should be built strong, able to withstand all nature has to offer, and on high ground, away from low-lying areas. Buildings are to be easily sealed against flooding, cyclonic airborne debris, and clear protected against fire. We may also have to produce much foods under cover of extreme climatic conditions, and even live inside for protection of adverse weather extremes at times. All establishments should keep guest accommodation available for natural disasters. Our present cities alone have more materials in their construction than we could ever need to re-establish our lives into a vital restorational system, and still have stockpiles for hundreds of years to come. Our present way of life does not work. It has never worked, and it never will. We must now take it apart and endeavour to unite the world and collectively and rapidly build a totally new global revolutionary survival system. We must now all endeavour to restore the Earth back to its former state, and we have no time left to do it. Now, before I go, would something like this be able to overthrow our present system? Well, today people have become deluded, currency corrupt, and extremely ignorant. And as we have further progressed with chemicals, drugs, electronic addiction, and IT, we now also have the conspiracy theorists, creationists, scamists, and supremacists, whereby people are led to believe anything with the degeneratively, mentally unstable modern mind. The world today is in a massive, volatile state of affairs. In the new system, not only do we endeavour to the utmost importance of reverting the conscious mind back to its former intellectual state, but go forward by demonstrable evidence of scientific facts. Would this not be a far better proposition to warfare and death, or even total annihilation? If we are such an intelligent organism, then why should not all of our children inherit a beautiful, intelligent system? Now, there are 2 other videos that accompany the system, and thank you for your time, patience, and understanding. Thank you.